is RightShip? What is RightShip inspection? Who carries out the RightShip inspection? What is the objective of RightShip inspection? Who started RightShip? And other things about RightShip inspection. All right. It's good to know about the instructor and the author. This is a little write-up about myself. You can read it and know who is the person who is giving you lectures, giving you instructions. Learning must is a joyful experience. So you must enjoy and learn the things. So let's go ahead, enjoy the course. How to answer the RightShip inspection questionnaire? Continuing, we are continuing in the same chapter, same topic. The question in each section may be accompanied by a guide to inspection. The guide to inspection assists the ship's manager in preparing the vessel for inspection and the inspector in answering the question and completing the inspection report. So this guide is also available to the vessel manager, ship office also, ship staff also the inspector. The question in each section must be answered by the inspector. The inspector must answer the question on the basis of guide to inspection, and he must mention any reference sources. Okay, understood? So this guide to inspection is important. How to answer the RightShip inspection questionnaire? The inspector has an option to select one of the four responses. Of course, naturally, some as he is going through the question, there will be some response requiring as per the question. If the response is yes, that's whatever the question is asking. Let's say, does the vessel has a statutory or statutory mandatory liveaboard certificate, for example? Answer is yes. So you'll write yes. The yes box should be checked when inspector, on the basis of the guide to inspection and other industry references, conclude that the answer to this question is yes. Or is a bulk, for example, bunker procedure is posted in the engine control room, or master's night orders are being written? Yes. If not written, no. If it is being written, yes. Or chief and standing orders are posted in the engine control room? Yes. If the answer is yes, if it is posted there. The no box should be checked when inspector, on the basis of the guide to inspection and other industry references, conclude that the answer to the question is no. Suppose, for example, master has not written night orders regularly. Every day master has to write night orders. All right, when the vessel is at sea, compulsorily. All right. So if he is not writing, the answer will be no. On a UMS ship, it is not necessary for the chief engineer to write night order every day because nobody is in the engine room. Remember, on a UMS ship, unmanned machine spaces, it is not necessary for the chief engineer to write the night orders every day. All right, but he can leave instruction during the daytime. With engineers can read, and by when they're leaving at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock, whatever the time they put the ship on the UMS, they can read and sign. Now, NA, not applicable. If the question is not applicable to the ship, there, depending on the age of the ship, type of the ship, when the ship was constructed, some question may not be applicable for the vessel. So the NA should be checked when the subject matter in question does not apply to the vessel. If the inspector selects NA on the basis of his or her judgment, a supplementary comment should be added and they should state the reason the NA box was selected. So in this case, he should write the keel was laid, let's say earlier than so and so date, cutout date, for some industry requirement or statutory requirement to come into existence, 1st January 2020, for example. The ship keel was laid before that. So this requirement is not applicable. So he will mention that because the keel was laid before 1st January 2020. All right. Not view. The not viewed box should be checked if the subject matter in question was not checked by the inspector. A supplementary command should be added, and they should state the reason and not viewed box was selected. For some reason, here not viewed it. So you should check the box and show the reason why it was not checked, not viewed. The reason has to be given. All right. So it's very straightforward question inspection and very broadly. It covers all aspects. How to answer the right ship inspection? Remember, this answering is being done by the inspector. This guideline for the inspector. But ship staff must be aware of this. All right. So what is the finding? What is the finding? Finding is a failure to meet a requirement which is a need, expectation, or obligation. It is the same definition what what was given earlier for the observation. Now the term observation is not being used by the right ship, they are using finding. All right. So finding can be a deficiency in characteristic, maybe in documentation, some documentation not completed, not carried, or not done, or deficiency in procedure. ISM code specifies something, but the procedure is not available or not being used, not in the company's safety management system. All right. Through finding physical defects, test failures, it can be a deficiency, test failure, incorrect or inadequate documentation and maintenance, deviation from testing and inspection, testing to be carried out every 3 months, not carried out, or non-compliance with the industry good practices can also be a finding. So a finding means an observed situation where objective evidence indicates the non-fulfillment of a specific requirement. So in brief, this sentence covers everything. So a finding means a situation which an inspector has observed where there is an objective evidence which indicates that if a requirement which was specified by the company procedure, company safety management system, ISM code, or other statutory requirement or other international rules and regulations, and it was not fulfilled, it does not meet the requirement, then it's a finding. Clear? Understood? Again, if you have anything not understood or have some doubt, write to me, write in the comment section, I will answer it. All right. And it's all free for you. Isn't it interesting? Learning has to be joyful. Hmm. All right. So what is objective evidence? Objective evidence indicates the non-fulfillment of a specific requirement. Yeah, that is the finding. A requirement which was specified but has not been followed is a finding. When the answer no is checked, the inspector must record a finding in the finding box. The action box in the inspection template. There is inspection template where there is an action box. The finding must specify and explain the reason the negative response is made. Why the answer is no? Inspector, we make a reason and note down the reason. However, the inspector must not include the solution for fixing the finding. He is not supposed to, he is not expected, he is not allowed to give a solution. How to fix this finding? No. Ship staff has to find, vessel manager has to find themselves. The inspector shall make supplementary comment in the comment section when required by the guidelines to inspection, or when an additional clarification is required to understand the matter related to a specific question. Okay. All right. If additional clarification is required to understand the matter related to the specific question, he can do so. He can write additional comments. Inspector must not check the yes box when the inspector's comment contain negative element. Two things are contrary, you know. If he comments are negative, he cannot write the answer yes in the checkbox. When comments contain negative elements, the no box must be checked. The inspector must respond to all questions, and each question must have one of its checkbox marked. So no checkbox should be left blank. The report. The inspection report will be rejected and returned if all questions have not been answered. So the report prepared by the inspector will be returned by the RightShip if all the question has not been answered. When the yes box is checked, inspector may amplify the answer. It's not necessary, it's not required that he has to um, clarify or explain all the boxes where he checked yes, but he may amplify the answer to the question by adding positive comments in the comment box. Or something unusual find, best practices he find no other ship was following, for example. He can mention it. So that the industry can get benefited. Other ships will also start following the practice this ship was following. Objective evidence must be used by the inspector when answering the question. Objective evidence, not subjective. Subjective is what you think, but there's no evidence. It's only your feeling or your impression. Objective evidence. The word of ship staff alone shall not be considered as sufficient evidence, because ship staff said that we had done it. Now it's not let's say enclosed space permit or hot work permit now is available, but we have filled up. That is not enough. Permit has to be shown. Crew familiarity with the task and the ability to demonstrate task is considered an objective evidence. Yes. Let's say he wants to check emergency generator. He asked fourth engineer, or he asked the AB, and he is able to start it. That's an objective evidence. For uniformity, when assessing coating condition in the tank or a hull or the what you call holes, the hatches, holes, assessment should be based on the ABS guideline, American Bureau of Shipping, Classification Society. They have a guideline inspection criteria, grading criteria for the ABS, hull inspection and maintenance, which is called HIMP. Shipstar should get it from the ABS website and use it. So uniformity, that because so that there is a uniformity assessing the coating. For example, grain cargo, the coating has to be certain grade, certain type. So that's why these guidelines are important, and ship staff must be aware of it. The inspector shall download the guideline, inspection grading criteria for the ABS hull inspection and maintenance program. Also the ship staff, also the vessel manager, prior to inspection, and use the guideline when assessing the coating condition on board the vessel. Guide link can be downloaded from the website. So I not put the link here also. Okay. In the supplementary comment section at the end of each section, the inspector may add comments relating to the section of or a subject related to the section that has not been covered by the question. All right. All dates must be entered in DD, MM, YYY. Uniformity. Because United States, for example, you write month, DD, YY, and many countries you write DD, YY. So its standard is DD, YY, YYY. It's written 3M, I remove 1M, all right? This is. So scope and guide to timing of the inspection. This is also important for the ship staff. Many times ship staff complaints that every port we come, there is some inspection or the other is going on. So we get too much harassed, kind of stressed out. There is pressure from the ship staff, from the seniors in the ship. Sometimes seniors also get affected. Pressure from the vessel manager, superintendents. Anyway, this is life. Hmm. So scope and guide timing of inspection. Best way to deal with the stress is accept it. There are only 24 hours. Nobody will ask you to work for 25 hours. There's a well laid down hours of rest method and procedure. You need to follow that. All company has to follow it. Nobody can push you so much. Hmm. Yes, some emergency, all of course. Work has to be carried out, but then you will be given off. Hmm. So the inspector is expected planning will help you. I still understand there are problems, difficulties. Yes. So the inspector is expected to manage and complete the inspection within 14 hours. 14 hours the time allowed. Inspector is not required to enter the ballast tank, void spaces, deck, kill or coffer dam. Not expected. Inspector shall sight and assess the physical condition of ballast tank, void spaces, and cover dam from the deck only, where the access hatches or manhole plates can be removed. Very important. Okay. For example, a ballast tank. Hmm. Let's say, so inspecting the ballast tank when they are, for example, maybe they loaded ballast, they're ballasted. When you remove the manhole from top only, you can see that there is oil change. For example, in any event, actual entry should only be made following specific written instruction from RightShip. So RightShip, as a standard procedure, does not allow the inspectors who will enter their uh, ballast tank, void space, ductile or coffer dam, etc. If actual entry is to be made, specific and the instruction must be taken from the RightShip. The inspector is required to complete a hull structural supplement questionnaire only following a specific instruction from RightShip. Because this is an important thing, this inspection has to be completed only when a specific instruction is given by the RightShip. Hull structural supplement questionnaire. Otherwise, this will not be completed. The inspector is required to enter one cargo hold and cite the physical condition of bulkhead. Cargo hold, of course, you can enter. Tank top condition, bulk, build, outfitting inside the cargo hold, handrails, verticals, ladders, etc. Coating condition and test the water ingress system, etc. So it is kind of a random check. So it expected that. So you hold one cargo hold you have checked, other condition may be more or less similar. It is expected. So when an Australian ladder is installed as a means of access to the cargo hold, inspector must use it when entering the cargo hold for inspection. All right. Now, the sequence of right inspection will be dependent on the availability of the personnel and operational status of the vessel, but will include the following components. For example, you go to first, he goes to engine room first, or goes on the deck first, depend on how the people are busy or available, what operations are going on. A review of the vessel documentation. This must be completed before or after, whenever, but a plan has to be made. Inspection of the wheelhouse and navigation and communication channels. General external area, including mooring, main deck, hatch covers, one cargo hold, and physical assessment of at least two ballast tanks from deck level. Again, you will not enter. Machinery of cargo crane and one operator's crane cabin. One crane cabin must be inspected. Ship's office, ballast control room, or is machinery spaces and accommodation. All within 14 hours. In addition to his or her own hours of work, the inspector must consider the rest period of the ship's crew when planning for the inspection. It's important. All right. Completion of the list of findings and inspection report. On completion of inspection, the list of findings shall be submitted to RightShip immediately after the inspection. The inspector must then complete the inspection report and send the completed ship inspection report to RightShip within 72 hours. So 72 hours, that means 3 days, or departing the vessel. If for any reason the 72-hour deadline cannot be achieved by the inspector must advise RightShip of the reason why and when the report can be expected to be sent. So there is strict timeline has to be maintained. Inspector must avoid subjective comments and findings. Again, subjective impression must not be given. It's not inspector impression which is important. It is objective evidence which is important. And findings which are based on assumption, beliefs, and opinions or influenced by emotions or personal feeling. Because he asked me to show my ID, I will now show this ship. I will make a bad report. No, sir, that is not allowed. That is not done. The inspector's findings and components must be based on facts, observation, and valid references within the industry, not on his own ideas subjective. For example, one of the inspector made a comment that funnel flaps were not sealed properly. Because why? His comment was because I could see the light. Funnel flaps are not expected to be sealed 100%. That no air can enter. No. Is the purpose is that outside air should not enter. Sufficient amount of air should not enter. If a fire has taken place and ship staff is fighting the fire, or uh, fixed firefighting arrangement has been utilized, in that case, air should not enter. But little light is being shown, it doesn't mean flaps are not closed. So things like that, which are subjective. Their own views, but that is not the industry criteria. If the inspector made any subjective comments or expressed an opinion, they must give the factual basis and specific reason why such a comment opinion was recorded. So inspector is also taken for task. He has to make sure that he is doing a good job. Role of the vessel manager. The vessel manager is responsible for ensuring the records relating to the officers on board the vessel, deck and engine metrics, for example, is up to date and sent to the RightShip prior to the inspection. So the RightShip inspector has the time to go through it. The time taken for inspection can be generally reduced by the state of preparedness of the ship. The ship must prepare. If the ship is prepared, the time can be reduced drastically. The latest edition of the RightShip inspection questionnaire should be on board, and as applicable, the RightShip questionnaire should have been completed. If question is completed, it takes very less time for the inspector. To expedite the inspection, the ship manager may consider having a representative on board during the inspection. Many times, vessel manager sends his representative, for example, superintendent or marine safety of marine marine manager, marine superintendent, whatever. However, any representative shall not interfere with the inspection unless there are safety concerns. But he is kind of observer. Any person coming from the vessel manager's office or ship manager's office. Electronic certificates. Where the vessel is issued with electronic certificates, RightShip recommends the vessel managers provide inspectors a temporary access to their online electronic certificate system. At least 2 days before the inspection. This will facilitate the inspector to minimize the time of inspection on board the vessel, because he can go through the certificate, check all the certificate before he boards the vessel. Otherwise, he'll require to spend that much time on board the ship. Makes sense, no? Remote review of digital documentation. RightShip may ask for remote review of digital documentation to minimize the type of inspection on board the vessel. It is being followed nowadays. Most inspectors are being using this digital documentation method. I myself have done it number of times. If agreeable by the vessel manager, the additional digital documents must be securely sent to appointed inspector 72 hours prior to the inspection. Root cause analysis. The vessel's manager may send written comments relating to the report to the RightShip. So vessel manager may send written comments related to the report to the RightShip. The report which the inspector submitted, vessel manager may send written comments. The vessel manager is required to provide a meaningful root cause analysis, including corrective action and sustainable long-term preventive action for each finding within 15 days. So the vessel manager given 15 days time to send the report, send the comments about all the findings which the inspector has given. All right. You understand what is the corrective action and the preventive action? Basic corrective action is it takes you the situation takes you back to the place where the things had gone wrong. That's all. That's the corrective action. What is preventive action? Preventive action, when you take preventive action or the company takes preventive action, the incident which had occurred will not occur in future. So you understand there is a difference. Corrective action takes you back to the state or situation where the things had gone wrong. That's all. And now you do it again. Things may go wrong again if the wrong procedure are followed. Preventive action is you go back and change your procedure or method of doing certain thing so that the incident does not occur. Okay. Please note that the inspection process cannot be completed until a satisfactory response has been received. If a satisfactory response is not received within 15 days, the inspection will be invalid. So 2 weeks, basically 15 days is a very important period. Vessel manager must send their commands within 15 days. Assessment of the vessel's management begins. Now this will also assessment of vessel's management. When the physical inspection of the ship is completed. When the ship inspection is completed, now the vessel's assessment of vessel management begins. The quality of the vessel management system will be evaluated by the quality of the responses or replies the vessel manager makes to the findings recorded during the RightShip inspection. The quality of the replies the vessel manager gives, this will reflect the vessel's management assessment. This is the basis of the assessment of the vessel management, the quality of the replies. The inspection outcome will be determined by the RightShip dry inspection team. So there is a team which will decide the outcome, whatever the rating is to be given. The vessel crew and manager owner are part of a team of resources that must fit together to maximize the requirement of our clients and external stakeholders. Who are the RightShip clients? The shippers, charterers, etc., who request that and owners offers its ship for inspection. It's for the benefit of the owners also. He gets a good rating, his demand increases, his vessel is marketable. Otherwise, nobody will charter his vessel. Maintaining a safe and high quality fleet of vessels that not only complies with the statutory requirement but also complies with the industry good practices is operated by well-trained ship's crew and has an effective management system. Creates a distinctive competitive advantage for the ship owner. That is the in brief. This is important. So engaging with the inspector, code of conduct. So RightShip inspection, in first slide we are told, RightShip inspection adhere to the RightShip code of conduct and will uphold professionalism and integrity while carrying out the inspection. Any attempt to coerce, remember, or offer a bribe at any point during the inspection will not be tolerated by the RightShip. Please note that RightShip inspector will report any cases of attempted coercion or attempt to manipulate inspection outcome by giving bribe, for example, or maybe threat. Okay. In these cases, the spectrum will likely be deemed unacceptable. Okay. All right. So there we come to the end of basically this brief introduction to the RightShip inspection criteria, procedure, method, objective, how it is carried out. It's for the benefit of the ship staff. There are normally, not normally, there are 16 sections available. Some section may be available pertain to different types of ship. Hmm. Cargo operation for solid bulk cargo other than grain, bulk grain, general cargo, etc. And there, bibliography, terms and explained, the terms which are used are explained, and there are three annexes. All right. All right. For any question, you may write to risk@rightship.com. So I certainly, sincerely hope you enjoyed this presentation. All the information, remember this, is taken from the RightShip website and used for education purposes only. This information is available on the RightShip website, but the person, ship staff has to go through, locate the information. eh. So I have compiled this and presented in a one session so that all ship staff, even the office staff, vessel manager can get benefited. All right, it's not for commercial use. All right. Thank you very much. Have a good day. Thank you all. From my side, Sanjeev Ahmed.